Hello, it's Gordon Lucas here, Program Manager for Change Manager 5.1 at Embarcadero Technologies. Today I'm going to show you how Change Manager can help you monitor for change in your data sources. We're going to use configuration, but the same would apply for schema. So we're going to set up and link a configuration archive job with a configuration comparison job. We're going to turn on some notifications to receive alerts when change is found. And we're going to generate a command line script, which is how you would automate the execution of the job by integrating that with your favorite task scheduler. We'll then make a change on the data source that we're monitoring in dbartisan, and we'll run the script and we'll review the output that you would get. Okay, so in Change Manager 5.1, we're going to monitor a data source for configuration setting changes. The first thing we're going to do is create a new configuration archive job. This is going to capture our configurations. So I'm going to name it capture the name of my data source configuration. On the refinements tab, I can select the properties to capture, and I'm going to run this job. Once it's run, I can save the results, and I get a version 1, which will show up in the history, so you can see the history of the versions for this archive. And versions are also shown in the Data Source Explorer under the data source where the job is. Okay, so we've created our archive job. The next thing I'm going to do is create a configuration comparison job. I'm going to use my archive job as the source and as the target. And I'm going to set the source to be the most recent version, and I'm going to set the target to be the create and use new version. So what create and use new version is going to do is it's going to run that archive job, capture and save a new version of the archive, and then use it as the target of the comparison job. So each time this comparison job runs, it's going to use the last captured archive version, and it's going to capture a new archive version and compare those. So I'm going to name this job monitor the name of my data source configuration changes. On the refinements tab, I can again select the properties that I want to compare. I'm going to leave those defaulted. And I'm going to use two notifications. The first, I'm going to enable the email notifier. So I'm going to enter in my email address so that when this comparison job runs, I'll get an email. I'm going to send me an email only when it's run from the command line. I'm going to attach a PDF report, and I'm going to leave everything else as defaulting. The threshold section would allow me to configure a percentage, so I could send myself an email if, for example, the match was under 90% or under 80%. So if certain properties start to drift, that's okay, but if it gets too out of sync, then I want to send a notification. The other notification I'm going to turn on is the file system notifier. This allows me to select folders to put reports, logs, and synchronization scripts in. The folders default to my home directory, Change Manager results, and then they're templated to the name of the job, which is $job name, and the date time it was run, $date time. And again, I'm going to set this to command line, and I'm going to include a PDF report. Okay, so if I save this job, I can generate a command line. The way I can do that is using the generate command line option. And this brings up the script generation wizard. I'm going to turn off the reports because I've configured that with my notifications. And I have an option to check off store results or not. What this is going to do is store the results in my Change Manager workspace so that when I reload this comparison job, I can use the History tab to review previous executions and generate synchronization scripts for those runs. If I just want to use my notifications and the scripts generated in the network share or via email, I can uncheck this, and then I can make sure that the machine on which Change Manager runs isn't going to build up a lot of disk usage if you're scheduling a lot of jobs, for example. I'm going to make it a Windows BAT file, and I'm going to put it on the desktop, and I'm going to call it monitor and then my data source. I'm going to save that. Okay, so I brought up a command prompt. I'm going to navigate, and I'm going to run my monitor script that I just created. Okay, so our comparison run is done. You can see that it lists the name of the job. There was 90 matched, which was 100%, and 0 did not match, which is what we expected, and the outcome of the job was success. I've also received an email, which is from Change Manager to me, and it includes the PDF report which we attached and some templated information about the job. You can see how long the job took, when it ran, what its name was, And you can see that the compare index was 100%, which means that there were no differences. Okay, so I've loaded dbartisan, and what I'm going to do is make a change to the configuration of that data source that we're monitoring. Let's disable the CLR. And back in our Windows command line, let's run that job again. Okay, so our job is run, and you can see that we had 89 matched, and 1 did not match. In Windows Explorer, you can see the Change Manager results folder that we configured in that network share notifier. And you can see the 2 runs. Let's look at the latest one. And here is our PDF report, which shows the statistics about the job, the target, how many matched, how many did not match, and then it lists through the configuration properties. You can see that CLR enabled was 1, and then it was disabled to 0, so it did not match. Okay, so to recap, what we did was set up a configuration archive job to capture versions of our configuration settings on a data source. We used that archive job in a comparison job the source was the latest version of the archive, and the target was to capture and create a new version of the archive. We then generated a command line for that comparison job and set up some notifications to email us and to put a report in a certain folder on our computer. We then used dbartisan, changed one of the configuration settings, and ran the job, and saw that Change Manager picked up the change and notified us of that change. For more information about Change Manager, visit Embarcadero.com, where you can get a free 14-day fully functional evaluation copy of the product. Change Manager is part of All Access, which is all the tools you need when you need them. And to contact sales, it's sales@Embarcadero.com. My name is Gordon Lucas. Thank you very much for watching.